All righty. Well, YouTube's telling me I'm here, so I must be here. Happy Friday. Sorry it's been a tough stretch, but I'm looking forward to something I think hopefully fun to do today, which is to look at Chris McDowell's playtest rules for his new thing in the Bastionland verse. Would that be accurate? Oops, I really need to resize that. Which is Intergalactic Bastionland Beyond Into the Odd. Let me see if I can zoom that out. Oh, whoops. Sorry. Let me fix this here, I guess. I noticed I'm getting a little bit cropped. Let me just fix. Yeah, fixing. This is what happens when I don't stream for a while. There we go. That more or less. That's more or less there. No, it's not. That may be more or less there. Okay. I think that'll be okay. All right. Hey, Bruno, I have not watched his video about it yet, so I'm going into this blind. I will check in on all the things, but I found the link. I found his post, link to the doc. I talked to, I guess Daniel was Bandits Keep last night when we were at game about the video he made, but I haven't watched the trailer. So I am pretty much as blind as a bat, which is how I like it for these sorts of things. All right. So let's get into it. Let's dig in. Bruno, have you had a chance to watch anything? Okay, so this is the playtest edition. This is proof of concept for Intergalactic Bastionland. Enough for me to get it to the table and try out the bones of the system. There's swaths of missing content, and the rules are only lightly tested. Miniature photography art is a placeholder. Okay, and this is the, I guess, second edition. So it originally came out on the 9th. I downloaded this morning, and on the 11th, there was some tweaking of sections, pages, and fixing of stuff. Let's see. Okay. Bastion is dead. The stars are alive. The stars are alive. All right. What is happening, or what's happening? Bastion, the old home of humanity, it's gone now, though some people just won't accept it. The living stars. You were born, made, and broken under the living stars, the new home of humanity. There are too many stars to list in this book, but you're from the part of space closest to where Bastion was, we think. People who live here call it the home cluster. Humanity. After Bastion, and even before that, humanity has lived among the stars. Some were shaped by their world, others created worlds and beings in their own vision. Some think that all intelligent life can trace a line back to Bastion, but that seems like a long shot. Most people live out their lives on a single world, maybe venturing within their system. A few, like you, work as crew, traveling between worlds and even between stars. Yes, work as crew. You're no captain. You have a duty to the ship, but engage in the occasional side hustle during shore leave. Let's see. Bruno says that they did. It was good for them to understand it better. They'd only skimmed the playtest after the video felt more compelling. Okay, cool. Well, I will definitely check it out. And I like Chris's stuff. So I'm interested to see how this goes into space, and I'm also curious. So I have very little experience with the original Electric Bastionland. Just for a little bit of context, I played in a very, very brief, I guess it was a play-by-post game, and it didn't call to me. Now I don't know if it was the setting. I don't know. There's too much stuff going on. It was a very, very small sample size. Hey, Croco, very, very small sample size of experience. I don't know if it was Bastionland as was Electric Bastionland as it was meant to be, or that particular referee, game master, what they were doing. It was fine. If it had kept going, I wasn't going to quit or anything, but I wasn't like, ooh, yeah, okay. And then, fast forward, I've only had a chance to play a little bit of Mythic Bastionland, but I enjoyed that very much. I have played a little bit of Into the Odd here and there. I think I've played Cairn. Have I played Into the Odd Classic? I feel like I have, but hard to say. This is some Vietnamese coffee for the working man. Hard to say. So, but I guess in terms of, my last experience, I really like Mythic Bastionland. So I'm curious now. I'm guessing, my guess is going to be that this is going to be building off of Mythic Bastionland, which is, the one just preceding it in the line, if you will. And I think you always hope with these things that as you're learning stuff, as you're developing your system, and you just kind of keep building off of what works. We shall see. Bruno asks, which space games have I played? Well, let's see. Back in the day, a little bit of Gamma World, a little bit of some Star Frontiers. I've played in one Traveler game, which I enjoyed, that we were planet bound. So we were playing a space game, but we weren't actually in space. I played in a completely homebrew sci-fi game for something like 12 years. It was a really great experience. I loved it, but that game was and remains so different from any other kind of game. And I should do a whole thing on it. I should get my friend Paul, who was the main creator and person behind it, to run it. It was a game that had started when him playing with friends in kind of a fantasy game, D&D or something similar, and then it morphed into this sci-fi game over a bunch of years before I ever showed up, and then I was in it for like 10 or 12 years. Those are my main experiences. I haven't played Mothership. I haven't played Stars Without Number. So I haven't really played many modern ones. I haven't played Starfinder. So yeah, that's my basic experience. I find it hard. I am more of a fantasy than sci-fi person, but I do like some sci-fi. And like I said, I played in one for like 15 years. So, or maybe it was, I don't know, between 10 to 15, somewhere in there. So it's not like I'm allergic to some good sci-fi action. I try to fix my glasses here, but okay. So characters. You begin the game with 3 skills. Just having the skill means you have a good amount of expertise in that area. Each skill rating ranges from 2 to 18, reflecting how well you can apply that skill under pressure. You start with D6 Guard, representing your ability to avoid harm. Your character is defined by 3 worlds. Where you were born, this tells you what type of being you are. Where you were made, this tells you the training you've received. And where you were broken, this tells you what went wrong. I like those. Those are good. I mean, they're the kind of similar things like your yield backstory, kind of almost a little bit of life path generation, but they're nice, and I like that they're short and pithy and kind of get to the point. Bruno says that in the video, I'm guessing Chris McDowell says he drew a lot of inspiration from Paranoia, actually. Okay, cool. Yeah, I played in a little bit of Paranoia. I've always wanted to play more Paranoia, and I just haven't yet had the chance. Yeah, Traveler, I mean, seems like it would be a classic reference. But, it's a lot of it's going to be, and we'll see the kind of tone. Like, right, Mythic Bastionland has a very particular tone to it, which I think works well for it. And we're gonna see what is or at least what is he aiming for in terms of the tone of Intergalactic Bastionland? Is it something that I kind of feel like Traveler is going for really grounded, grimy sort of spacefaring, right? And I don't know if that's what he means. Now they said before, you're crew, so you're definitely not top of the heap, and it'll be interesting if this is going to be kind of mission based in that your captain, who I'm presuming is an NPC, is going to be telling you what to do, blah, blah, blah. Hey, Samuel. Thanks for coming in and hanging out. Okay. Let's see. For each of the above, you're going to roll a d12 and a d6 and consult the world list to discover your background. Each of these gives you a skill. Roll another d6 plus a d12 to find out the skill rating. Each background also grants equipment or special abilities. If it refers to a place, person, or faction, they are detailed elsewhere on that world. In addition, all characters have a tactile, a pocket device that doesn't do anything on its own, but interfaces with machines and other tactiles. They also get a multi-tool with the following features: grapple and wire, multi-setting light, telescopic pointer, cutting jaw, lighter, flame. All right, so you get a little bit of stuff, right? So we have our, hey, how are we interfacing with computers? We got it, it's the tactile, and then you get a multi-tool that gives you a bunch of stuff. It's got your rope, it's got your torch, it's got the pointer, which is very cool, a telescopic pointer. So I guess it's a little bit like your 10-foot pole. So first I was thinking when I first read it like a laser pointer, but no, I think it's actually like it's going to telescope out and you can tap stuff with it. Something you can cut with and something you can make fire with. So it's kind of cool. It's like your whole little adventuring kit in one little tool. And I like it. It just makes it so that, a lot of what you might spend in a fantasy game writing out your inventory is basically captured in two devices. That also carry forward the sci-fi theme here, because of course we're advanced civilizations running around between the stars, so we probably would have some kind of Star Trek-like tools. Okay, the crew. Ships large enough to travel between the stars are a vast investment, so most interstellar travelers get around as part of a captain's crew. A standard starship has a crew nearing 1,000 souls. Though the captain and crew are split into 3 tiers, we have officers, heads, hands. You are a table. So, okay, so we're a table. A click. Oh, I see. It's not a table in the sense of, hey, you're a table playing game, but you're literally in the game, you are a table. A click who eat together, hustle together, and look out for each other. Together, you have volunteered for double duty detail. The 3Ds. Triple D. The benefit of being on doubles is a rolling ticket of leave, freedom to explore the world when the ship is in layover, picking up some extra work. The downside is that on each transit, your table must fill in for another head's position, typically in their absence. For each transit, roll once for the head that you're collectively filling in for. All right, so let's just, I kind of was just breezing through these. So the head is a specialist or senior crew who lead divisions and train new crew members, reporting to an officer. A starship has 72 heads. Okay? So basically, as members of a table, we have to fill in for those heads, and I guess we'll roll on some table somewhere for that. Alongside formal rank, there is a secondary hierarchy amongst heads and hands seniority. Each head or hand begins as a third, is recognized as a second after proving themselves, and a first when they have earned true respect. This is technically an unofficial title, but captains know it has its uses. While rank grants authority, seniority assumes respect. Just a funny little side story. In that long-running sci-fi game I was on, one of the players I had kind of a running joke, at least on my end. I don't know if they thought it was very funny, where I would encourage them to do something risky in terms of earning some NPC's respect. So I kind of like that here it's an actual formal thing. I used to be kind of thing like, hey, you got to go over there and do this thing to earn that guy's respect. That was sort of my gag. One of my gags, I should say. Okay, ranks. Codes and conventions. A crew is held together by a sprawl of rules, traditions, and superstitions that follow spacefarers across the living stars. Naturally, each ship puts their own spin on things, but has led to a somewhat recognized set of positions that a ship will aim to fill. These are the 6 most common officer stations. Opposite shows the head roles that sit below each officer station. Okay, so we've got the Arch Merchant. And then you have I see. So each officer station comes with a broad area of responsibility and a token of office. This is funny because the tokens of office are literally weapons, which is just kind of a funny thing here. So the Arch Merchant, I think we can guess what the Arch Merchant is involved with, has a Mace of Prosperity. The Marshal in Arms has an Adamant Truncheon. A Commander at the Helm has a Scepter of Stars. The Mate of Papers has the Administrative Gavel. The People's Executive, not the People's Champion, the People's Executive has the Baton of Unity. The Technical Prime has the Iron Rod. And finally, there you have the ship's mainframe, who is not formally an officer, but it is the computer. It coordinates all the machines on board. I guess the mainframe, I don't think it's right. It is a computer. It's not a person who's called the mainframe. Hey, Ian. It's very funny to me that they're all weapons or can be used as weapons. But, I mean, each one is given a damage type, some die of damage, and it looks like some kind of combat-oriented keyword. So very clearly, it seems like we're at least inferring that you might have to go beat up people with your what would you call it? With your token of office. Heads and hands. Each head has a specific responsibility reporting directly to their officer. Roll a d6 and d12. All right, so you have the Arch Merchant. I'm not going to read all these. I'll read. Well, let me do I got some 6. I got a 6 here. Just happen to have one in front of me. Let me get a 12 and I'll read one because otherwise I'll be here all day. That's one of those weird DCC dice. Here's a standard issue d12. I'll even use one of my kind of sci-fi D6s, or at least it's got that kind of font. Oops. 3 and 7. So under the Commander at the Helm, number 7, the Addressor, internal pings. So this is a random head position. So on internal pings, you have the Addressor. You're the Addressor on the internal pings? Is that what they are? I guess it's their, I don't know what an internal ping is. But is that where you're like doing sonar on the inside of the ship? I'm not sure. But anyway, so you kind of have I guess the head, you'd be the Addressor would be your title, and then your duty, I guess. would be that one. All right, let me roll one more and then we'll move along. 2 and 4. 2, the marshal in arms. 4, the sergeant for external combat. There you go. And then the surveillant does internal security. Okay. Each hand usually serves under a head, a common rank being head's hand, such as broker's hand or frag holder's hand, though those that fall into a more specific responsibility may take on a minor rank. Even working under a head with an exciting mandate, you roll a d20 to get a sense of their everyday work. Or, yeah, day-to-day work. All right, well, let me roll a... let's get a d20 here. Let's get where's... Here we go. All right. I got a 10, so my day-to-day work, it was a courier. So I got the, let's just say I had the sergeant who's, right, who's, I guess their technical duty is external combat, but what am I doing most of the time? I'm running stuff back and forth. On to playing the game. And I'm noticing they're definitely going with the kind of Mythic Bastionland sort of layout where each page seems to cover an entire type of thing, you know, like playing the game, and you have main here, you know, each a topic, I guess, a topic per page, right? Yeah. So playing the game, action procedure, you get you intent, leverage, the cost, the risk, and the impact, right? Saves. If there's a risky situation, you might have to save on a skill. They're using turns in combat. You've got reactions. You could be exposed if you're caught with your guard down or otherwise defenseless. There's a luck roll. Now you have attacking, and you follow 7 steps. All combatants attacking the same target roll all their dice at the same time. Attackers may perform gambits. You take the highest die remaining. Add any extra damage from attackers who are bolstering. Subtract armor. Do the damage, subtract the damage, and resolve any wounds. Okay, so we're basically going with the, at least at the moment, with the kind of Mythic Bastionland way of the way combat works. If it's not exactly the same, it's super similar. I am not an expert on Mythic Bastionland, so please don't at me with some technical correction of where I've misspoken. Hey, Michael Freiker. Okay, so you can make an impaired attack, which you would roll using a d4 instead of the usual, whatever the die is. You have blast attacks, and you have damage, wounds, and trauma. You can be patched up. You can rest. You get some healing. And obviously, if you don't get any of that stuff, if you are deprived of your basic needs, you can't benefit from healing. Okay. Personal combat skills in combat. I'm just gonna kind of, I was breezing through that. I'm gonna breeze through this one also, only because for me, the interest is not so much in the particulars of the combat, unless it's something that really is screaming some kind of thematic thing to this. But I want to get more into kind of the stuff outside of this. But I guess we have protective features. You might have barriers. You can rally. You can have squadrons. And then you have your gambits. You can bolster. You can move. You can repel. Right? These are all, to me, similar to Mythic Bastionland. If you're familiar with Mythic Bastionland, you'll be right at home, very comfortable with this. If not, I don't know what to tell you. All right, so we have some wound tables. So you have piercing. So they have different damage types: piercing, crushing, burning, eroding, warping, and infecting. What are these? Are these D13 plus? So when you're rolling on, is there a thing about wounds? Let's see. If the damage... Oh, I see. If the damage exceeds the target's, I think, GD, which I guess is, like their hit points, you look it up on the wound table, add the amount of trauma the character currently has the result. So you would take whatever. So let's say I got hit and I took 6 excess damage from something warping, but I had maybe had 3 trauma, so I ended up at 9. So I go, okay, I got 9, and it's warped. So I have a haunted, I'm struck by, or my character is anyway, a haunted psyche. Attacks are impaired until fully healed. So you got a bunch of these. Oh, look at this. Psychological scar. Rename a skill. Roll a d6. Wrath, shame, sorrow, vanity, apathy, guilt. Increase your max. What is GD again? It's, I forget what GD is. But, you increase your max CD1 to a max of 10. Okay, but I like the fact that you have to take one of your skills and it becomes the psychological factor. which I guess means in a sense is you lose whatever it is your original skill was, you're going to lose, but presumably you might be able to get some stuff done if you get a good one. If you get Wrath, that's something you could turn to your advantage. I'm not sure. I mean, maybe Apathy too, to a certain degree. Sorrow and Shame, Guilt and Vanity. I'm not sure how you would turn those to your advantage, but hey, that's where you got to be clever. Page on Technology, Frags. Most power is drawn from the stars, stored in condensed stellar fragments, commonly called frags. These double as universal currency for major transactions. Many households can be powered by a single frag indefinitely, consuming its passive excess energy. High-energy industrial processes consume entire frags, often in large quantities. You have machines, which is any piece of technology able to think for itself is classified as machine. If you aren't sure, ask them. They'll let you know. Haha. Typically fall into one of three types. So you have the mainframe, that's the largest, most advanced. You have modules, you have robots. Then you have, communication. You have pinging. So here's the internal pings. So it's communications. Machines can ping each other for an instant line of secure communication. These reach anywhere within a world and its orbit. Then you have the wave, a hum of wireless broadcasts riding on a star's emission. Signals are sent to the star, then back out to the rest of the system. That's cool. Signal delay is a number of hours equal to the total of the broadcast and receiving world numbers. So a message sent from world 3 to world 4 takes 7 hours. Wave communications are open to anybody receiving on that frequency. And then you have the wire, an underspace network sending secure text communications between worlds, even between systems. Only mainframes know how it works, most under the umbrella of the Starpath faction. Wire messages have a 24-hour delay regardless of distance. The wire is only accessible from worlds, not orbitals or vessels. Oh, interesting. An underspace network. Okay, we have some gear. I'm not really going to go through all this. We got a bunch of keywords. We've seen some of them, like warp, erode, burn, crush, pierce. You also have static, long, and hefty. Okay, so you have different grades. So you have service grade, patrol grade, field grade, assault grade, elite grade, and special grade. And they're just, it seems like what kind of duties. So standard duties, service grade, protective measures are patrol grade, hazardous deployments are field grade, then tactical intervention, then strategic escalation, and finally existential threat. And we have a bunch of things in here, but I'm not going to read them all. But I'll read one from each. So under service grade, let's see, you've got the breather helmet, impair infect. Allow breathing. What is infect? Oh, impair infect. Damage causes biotechno infestation. I see. So if you wear this helmet, I think it means that incoming infect type damage is impaired, meaning you would roll a smaller die, which is good for you. On the patrol grade, let's see. Coil rifle, D12 pierce, static. Static means they require 2 hands and cannot be used if you've moved. So you got to stand there and kind of get yourself, balanced, set, and then fire. Under field grade, we've got let's see. So we have a bunch of different suits that impair different damage types. Then you have a breach blaster, which is long. Was that long in the range? No, right. So long requires 2 hands, can't be concealed, and is impaired in tight spaces. But you can move. And it does burn damage. It seems like a kind of a flamethrower type dealio, which is cool enough. Okay, assault grade, we've got the gas projector. It's a 2d6 infect blast, and it's hefty, which I guess means it's heavy. Elite grade, you have a cloak suit, impairs, non-blast, ranged, and static. Static means you got to stand still, right? Yeah, but it's a suit. I guess that you have to stand still. Oh, static armor offers no protection if the wielder moved on their last turn. Aha, I see. So it seems like maybe we're looking like a predator type thing, right? If you're moving, they can kind of see your silhouette or outline. But if you're standing still, then you can you become hard to see. Okay, so let's see, where was that? Oh, and then last one under special grade, the Titan suit cannot act after moving. So I guess you're just slow. I don't know what the A3 means. I see A2. I'm not sure. It's not a keyword. Let's see, suits and helms. Oh, armor score. Okay. Space vessels, you got boats, frigates, starships. Could be a demi vessel or a grand vessel. You can have some specialist patterns, scout patterns, naval patterns, or freight patterns. Patterns are, I guess, kind of the engineering, sort of their blueprints a little bit, sort of what template that's built on. Now, on to life as crew. All right. The wheel. Crew refer to the reliably repetitive pattern of ship life as a rotating wheel with 3 points: transit, dock, and layover. The code. Keep the ship sailing, protect the crew, do your duty. So this is very much a sci-fi restatement of the Mythic Bastionland precepts, which I think were good. I think I mentioned when I talked, who was I talking to about that? When I did the stream on Mythic Bastionland playthrough, one of the things that I mentioned was that I thought that those precepts, it was Jack Edward. I thought the precepts were really good because they kept things focused. They kept you focused on sort of the things you're meant to be doing. And so if you ever were in a moment you're playing the game and you're not sure what you need to be doing, you can just look at your character sheet and you'd have, I think it was keep the land safe, listen to the sages, and do the myths, basically. And those weren't the exact words, but essentially that's what you're here to do. So if you're ever sitting there in Mythic Bastion, like, I don't know what to do. It's like, well, look at your sheet. Is there a myth you can put progress on? Yes or no? Is there some threat to the land? Yes or no? Maybe find out, do you have some direction from a sage? Yes or no? And those things will kind of give you direction. So here we're seeing the kind of same thing here. So that, which again, I like it because it tells players kind of exactly what they should be doing. So you have watches, you have top watch, mid watch, and bottom watch, all morning, afternoon, and night. So you have gear and weapons, right? So you have their proper manners, nods and knocks. A favor paid back to another crew member is informally called a nod. You might say, "Thanks for the help. I'll owe you a nod for that." Justified reprisal for a wrongdoing is called a knock. You might hear, okay, it's a typo. Just giving you that knock I owe you right before a punch to the gut or being reported to an officer. Yeah, just information as a general principle of information. Superiors tell you the absolute minimum. Peers tell you what they want you to know. Subordinates tell you what you want to hear. That's really good GM advice for how to play various NPCs. Then you have the performance review. Captain's only directly involved with the officers, so it can be useful to know how well each of them is performing in the captain's eyes. Similarly, tasks can be delegated to non-player characters, not knowing how well they'll perform. When you need to know how well a non-player crew member performed their task, you can roll a d6, which ranges from disaster to a mess, success, or a triumph. And notice here, you basically have equal chances of mess or success and the equal chances of disaster or triumph. So it's basically it's pretty much a crapshoot. Space combat. I'm not going to really go through these. Ships take damage. You can do field repairs. You can negotiate. You can obviously fire. You can collide. You can try to evade. You can board. You can hack it. And you can try to escape. Right? I think all fairly simple stuff. So, ship layouts. You have decks, compartments. You might have access, which would be like your locked doors. You have transporters that can move you around, and then some common fixtures, shared quarters and common rooms, food dispensers and hygiene booths, equipment, concession stores. There are also going to be hatches, high hatches, low hatches, boat hatches. And then getting around, you can roll some dice, and you might have some ship variations, which you can also roll some dice. And then we get tables for shipwrecks. Mr. Rourke wants to know if they can do ludicrous speed. I don't know, but they got to go plaid first. Okay, so we'll roll so this is if they take enough damage. So yeah, I'll roll d20. See what I get. We can read one of these entries. And how many of these? And there's 6 of them, so I'll roll a d6. So I got column 3, 6. So we got a burn. We took too much burn damage. We got airflow ignited, 1 extra trauma, and all in a random compartment take d6 burn. All right, cool. So we've seen something happen to the ship. And there you go. And are there any other ones that seem super cool? Let's see. Critical infect. Quantum tether compromised. Until repaired, all warp attacks get a plus D12. Oof, that's tough. You don't want that to happen. And then you can roll a 2d12 when you require a random location on a ship. So for us, we can do a 6. Well, no, that's a 9 and an 11. So 9 and 11. A valve. You're at the valve control. You know, you could have like ensign or whomever report to valve control on the drive deck. Yes, Captain. All right, transit. So here's, I guess, more. I guess this would be I guess in space travel in most games, what do they use? Like a point crawl system, right? They're not using, or that what some systems use hexes, right, for space travel. I'm not sure what they're using here though. Okay. For space travel purposes, a day always refers to 24 hours, as you're told it was on Bastion. You set a bearing, you plot a route, and then you have the distance, and the distance depends, or, obviously the transit time depends on the size of your ship and how far away you're going. So boats, frigates, and starships have different ones. And I like that there's a cooldown, which is cool. Which does it say about the cooldown? That you have to, I'm assuming, does that mean that the ship has to, I'm wondering, is that like you have to slow your slowing, or is that basically once you're there, you have to, I'm going to say it means once you're at your destination, you can't leave for that amount of time. So the fun thing is that the boat, the small ship, they can't go to neighboring systems. That's beyond them. They have to be carried on a starship. However, they have very quick cooldowns, even though they're quicker. So the frigates can obviously carry more stuff, but the frigates are slower and have cooldowns. So if you're going just within orbit, take a boat because it's got an instant cooldown and it's fast. Whereas the frigate would take 2d6 plus 3 hours or 3 more hours basically on average, and starship 6 more hours on average. And then if you're going to another planet, your cooldown's a day. If you take a frigate, it's 7 days. So there's a big difference. Michael Fergus says it's dock time. Okay, that's kind of what I thought. So the bigger ships obviously allow you to take more stuff, but that's kind of neat. And if you end up in situations like you might in games like Traveler, where you got to ixnay off a planet quickly, then boats are good. So you may want to keep your ship parked some distance away, maybe in a system, and take a boat down, right? Unless you feel like you need all those people, in which case maybe you got to take. If your boat's on I don't even know if your boat can go on a frigate. I don't know if frigates can carry boats, but you might have a starship that's kind of parked out there, and then you're taking something smaller in. But I like that kind of. And I don't know if, and the one thing is, as players, I don't know if you have a choice in the matter, but because you're crew, right? You're not the captain. It's not your ship. You simply work on the ship. So on the one hand, you don't really have control whether you're working on a boat, a frigate, or starship. However, as a GM, that's definitely something you can play with in terms of the companies, how much money they have will tell you how big a ships they have. But it also gives you this thing it's kind of like you're saying, well, you can't leave, right? It reminds me of the situation you said in fantasy games where someone will say, oh, the players, they boarded this ship and went to a new world, and I don't know what to do because they left port and they're gone. Well, in this game, there could be a starship that's going somewhere, but they're still on that cooldown. I mean, look at that. They're doing transits back and forth from a neighboring station. So sure, you can book passage on that starship, but they're not going anywhere for 28 days. So now what are you going to do? So I guess I kind of like that gives you this sort of almost fictional, but sort of in-game, but also this other thing of like, hey, the different ways things are going with limitations. Just kind of, like the way, I guess I just like the way it's baked in, so to speak. And it makes sense. Those ships, it's something that, Star Trek deals with it only a little bit, but still they'll have, you have to go and get space dock time. Other games other settings like Star Wars, they don't really talk about that, but I like it. Okay, so you can be reprimanded. There are traditions. You can travel between the stars. There are stargates. And of course, you can have incidents if you're journeying around. roll d6 table. I will roll 1. 6. Let's see. Roll a ship from the system you're in. At the very least, the ships hail each other. If between stars, treat as a detour instead. So the detour is the stars alter your course. Roll a random world in your destination system. The stars alter your course. I see. So instead of getting to the planet you were trying to get to, you get to another planet. But I'm not sure what that means. If an incident involves a crew position absent, no, incidents may present ongoing problem. Because I'm wondering so I guess here's what I'm wondering. All right, so let me see. Incidents. For journeys of multiple days, roll a d20. If it's equal or lower than the journey's length, then there is a mid-journey incident. If required, the d20 roll dictates how many days into the journey the event occurs. Okay. So these are basically your kind of wandering creature, random encounter type deal. But I guess I'm wondering, so for the detour, this is my question here. And obviously this is just a beta document. So I don't know. If you get detour, right? So instead of getting it, you're supposed to go to the third world. You end up at maybe roll a die or whatever. You're up on the 6th world. Are you stuck? Like if you're on a starship and that happens to you, are you stuck with that cooldown? Or is that literally only for when you were at a dock? Because the one thing with it just seems to me, and presumably this will get fleshed out, and obviously as the GM, you can imagine whatever you want to imagine, right? But I imagine if I get one of those, if it's just you're at the wrong planet, it's like, well, okay, well, we back up out of orbit and go. Or imagine someone's coming in, right, to come to visit Earth, okay? And you end up at Saturn or Jupiter instead. You're going to know before you get right on top of it. Isn't Earth supposed to be blue-green? And isn't it supposed to be the third world from the sun, blah, blah, blah. And I feel like I could see it on scanners over there. You know what I mean? There's going to be something that's like, well, why did we pull up here? But hopefully you want to play it up into something that has to be dealt with as opposed to just like, well, we got to see the rings of Jupiter or whatever, or Saturn. And then I think Jupiter technically has rings too. Doesn't have some kind of thing around it. Anyway. Look at that. It's a gas giant. And then you move off. Bruno says you probably have to improv the incident. Yes. And maybe, hopefully, I think if that's, and look, and I don't know if that's supposed to be something that's a real big thing or if it's almost like, ooh, or if it does slow you down, are you on, is there, if you're on a task that has a time requirement, like we need to get to Alpha Centauri before the 12th day, as told on the Intergalactic Bastionland calendar that we use, because this is how months and days were at Bastionland, that we have to get there, and then we stopped here, so now we're running short on time, and something else is going right. I think you probably need to improv it out, but I'd be curious to know a little bit more about what these are supposed to be. And we'll see. But the incidents have roll a random world page, roll a random world page. Maybe those are incomplete. I'm not sure. Bruno says maybe some spark tables. Yeah, we'll have to keep reading. We'll see. Oh, you got docks. Officers are expected to carry out their portside duties. You get out portside news. You've got laws and borders, freight, rewards, security checks. News could be that things have reached a crisis point. Things are getting worse. Things are steady. Things have gotten slightly better. Oh, you can do some speculative trade. That's cool. So more ambitious vessels focus on speculative trading. The ship's arch merchant, you like that title of the arch merchant, orders the buying and selling of goods with the intent to make the most profit. They often lend space in the ship's cargo to favored crew members as a reward for good service or at a fee of 1 frag per container. And you got some different good types and different market types. And then, let's see, value. And then you have different, buying and selling. So I see. So if you're in a grower market, then the value of organics is low, minerals slightly higher, synthetics and wares are much higher. But then if you're able to buy organics in a grower market and then take it to an outpost, suddenly you can make a little profit. Though organic seems like the worst bet. Just because your margins, the margins for organics is very thin. Better off if you could, well, actually, it's not. Yeah, it's slightly better if you can manage to get to a refiner market and buy a bunch of synth, and then take it to a grower world. You can get a margin of 3 on those, right? And then you've got and then you have market forces that can add some add a little modifiers in the mix, so you don't know exactly what you're going to get. Very cool. And then you have some modifiers like being illicit, bulk, pressurized, or unstable. And then you get those are to the goods and to the markets. You can also have rich, poor, union, corporate, prestige. And you could easily, this is something if you like this, I don't really, this is not something in, say, my yield fantasy game that I care that much about. But I know some folks really like economic systems. And you could easily take these and essentially, you want to change the types to something fantastic or mundane, and the good types in markets to suit. But then you could have a similar kind of thing here. I like that the easy numbers using frags. I guess these are all frags, right? Is it, or this like number anyway? Instead of having gold, silver, bronze, and necessarily having maybe large numbers, you can have kind of small numbers. Okay, so layover, tickets of leave, right? So the crew, your table, if you recall, working double duty detail, have rolling ticket of leave, granting them time away from the ship while it's in cooldowns. This is kind of where you're going on a lot of your adventures, I think. So I got to kind of get the sense here that you're bebopping around from star to star. Maybe some incidents are happening. And that is most of the adventure going to be in these layovers? Because that's when your party is kind of on their own. I feel like it seems to me the way this is setting up is that on ship as you're sort of exploring, unless there's an incident comes up that impacts one of the players, their jobs specifically, it might be like a montage or a real quick thing, and then you're kind of getting like, oh great, we're on leave, and now we're gonna get into shenanigans. That's my sense so far. But again, I haven't watched Chris's video or anything else, so I can't say for certain what the intention is. Anyway, so you get to go down and leave. You have transport connections. You might be able to get to the wider world, or maybe you're just going to be in the port. Let's see. You can pick up some freelance work. You can see they rate the law and military strength of the world. You have their trade rating and shopping, tech rating for specialized services, off-books enterprises, mining or harvesting, plunder and theft, and then finally bounty hunting. So there you go. You can do some bounty hunting. And you can also do some exploring, and we have some, looks like to be determined stuff for exploring. Maybe those are tables? Maybe? I don't know. But there you have some survival factors like extreme highs and lows of gravity and pressure, toxic atmosphere, etc. We have some stock characters. If you need, you need an NPC to fill in, your guards, your soldiers, shock troopers, assassins, engineers, etc. We got those. He's going to have some stock locations, but they're not ready yet. We have some people specs. So if you need a traveler, you can roll. You can get some fashion. I'll roll one. What are these? These are 2d12s. Let me get a secondary 2d12 here to make it nice and neat. Where's my other 2d12? Here we go. All right, so we'll roll 2d12, 11 and a 5. So we got a follower. Their identity is a follower. Their occupation is an administrator. And let's see, fashion, what are they wearing? 3 and 6. They're wearing a space suit with a stolen hat. How do we know it's stolen? Or I guess the GM knows it's stolen. And their personality is they're pious. On the surface, they're pious, but beneath the surface, they're superstitious. All right, that tracks. Cool. And then we got some ship sparks for your boats, starships, etc. Let's see. We have some port sparks. So Bruno, to your point about having some spark tables, we do have one. I'm wondering for these. So I guess if let's say we ended up on a detour to a random world in the system, we could use this spark table to come up with, let's say I got 611, so that it's the atmosphere is swirling. It's got radiation. The surface is toxic. and very mountainous. And the biosphere is imported. Okay, so somebody's kind of imported with lots of trees. But I guess these trees have been engineered to be able to live in this toxic space, or the trees themselves are responsible for the toxic. They're not earth trees. They're some kind of tree that creates a toxic atmosphere as it's converting, I don't know, chlorophyll or something like it to energy kind of thing. Instead of doing, oxygen and carbon dioxide, it does something else. It's methane or something. I don't know. It's methane. It's propane. I don't know. Whatever. It's something. Culture-wise, the culture it's technological, but stagnant. Oh, stagnation is a taboo. I wonder what that means. I don't know. I have to massage that a little bit. The settlements are basically farming, and they use a base type structure. Maybe I guess maybe they can live in the atmosphere. It's toxic to us on the ship, but maybe not these folks. Or maybe they wear suits all the time. They're governed by a traditionalist oligarchy. Their agriculture is synth bars. Their industry is hazardous medicine. And their current crisis is they need frags. They're frag poor because of a coup. So there you go. Now, of course, that's a whole lot of Spark stuff, which is great. Now, you still have to figure it out. But that's kind of the plus and minus of Spark tables. Like, you got all this data, but now you got to take that data, turn it into something. I would probably pre-roll just, and I would do this for Bastionland also. Pre-roll take some of these Spark tables and just pre-roll yourself some results so you can think about them. And then if you do have to deploy that random world, you'll have it in mind. You can even write up something, put it on a note card, put it in a digital something that you can have so that you can kind of get a leg up. But even that stuff can be fun as a table to do if you wanted to. I haven't really played in a game like that. Well, I mean, I guess it's kind of like when you play those shared narrative games, shared world building games, you kind of do that. Like as a table, you can sit and say, oh, like, what does this mean? And that can also be fun. I mean, not everybody loves that kind of gaming, that kind of way of play, but that's absolutely another way you could do this is just have everybody involved in creating this kind of cool world that you were not meant to get to. Or maybe you were meant to get there. I don't know. What is meant? Free exchange trust. Okay, so these are companies, I guess. So you have job opportunities. They got a history of presence, relations, and a goal. You have the Sovereign Independence Charter. I like that. You have the Justice Union, Collective Vigilance. Justice Union, Collective Vigilance. Concord Peace Operations. Let me see. What's a one? Let's see. Let's roll D12 here. So let's see. Number 7. So current job opportunities of the Justice Union Collective Vigilance is to find proof that Concord recently broke an industrial strike. Aha. And then Concord, on their side, has an opening for you to help them ensure a Starpath facility feels suitably threatened to keep their Concord contract. Okay. Let's see. Is this a situation where both these are kind of bad? These guys seem like they're all right. So they are collective vigilance. So providing muscle to guard a labor strike. Delivering a criminal, a prison. Like, that seems kind of goody two-shoes-ish. Oh, well, wait a minute. They are removing a union foreman from their position because they're proving too difficult to manage. That's not so cool. And they want to, okay. And Concord seems like somewhat bad. Stoke anti-Severan rhetoric. Deliver faulty faulty munitions to the Justice Union. All right. A little mix. I mean, Concord seems more bad than good, or not good at all, and the other one seems mixed. But maybe maybe it's even more twisted than that. We have the new Compliance Authority, the Starpath Archive of Cosmic Truth. I like that, and then the Home Cluster. Oh, look at that! We got like a constellation. The stars and worlds included here represent a fraction of the wider universe, particularly the systems with the closest links to Bastion. Think of them as a starting point for your version of living stars. And then, we have the page numbers, but they're not in there yet. And then we have the gold. So I'm not going to go through all of these because why? Well, let me see. We have 12. So let's roll for a random system. I got number 3. Number 3, the dragon. Okay, so let's just go to the dragon. Oh, I see. Oh, I have to roll. Okay, so once we get to the dragon, I'll have to roll again. Uh-oh, but that's it. Oh, we don't get there. All right, so let's switch back. So we only have the gold father. Now I'll roll a d6 for a random world. I got number 5. Okay, so in the profile here, we've got the star profile is warm gold, shines a little more flatteringly on those with more frags. The space is dark smog littered with clouds of dust and debris. Comms, the wave is fuzzy but functional. That's interesting. It's got the gates are anvil. I don't know what that means. Boon grants a form of immortality to those who cast 1,000,000 frags. Oh, interesting. That's very cool. Bane, anybody with an overdue debt is cursed, being deprived until they sell the debt. Oh, I see. So these stars are literally alive. They have they have a personality to them. That's very cool. So if you can get 1,000,000 frags, you get a form of immortality if you throw them into the sun. Excuse me, the star. Now for the worlds. We rolled number 5, so we're going to go to the labyrinth. And then we have a sleazy. What vessel might we see? We're traveling through here. I got 4. The Velvet Palace casino ship, captained by the reclusive Master D. Harzin, with a goal to make enough profit to pay NCA's cut. Okay, there you go. Now let's go to number 5. This is the labyrinth, a sunken maze beneath a frozen crust. So it's an ice giant. Atmosphere is pale clouds of ice shards. It's got a population of thousands. Its surface is a dense crust of blue glass-like ice. Its market is a corporate extractor. It requires a vac suit and a breather. And it's got some numbers for law, trade, and tech. The threat is the world's core slowly annihilating the planet from within, accelerated by mines. And the faction FXT owned and operated Starpath presence on world. And now let's roll for a random place. Number 6, the feet of Elevatrix, an urban sprawl clinging to the base of the space elevator that connects to Lazuli Depot. Broken miners want out, naive youngsters want in, claiming there's opportunity to be had when a world hits rock bottom. Oh, you might have a contact. Who might our contact be here in this world? Naradutch Starpath Chronicler. Let's see, wants to sell on news and gossip to his corporate clients on the wire. Okay, so he might be somebody interesting to know. And let's see, origins, born in the maze, you learn to turn its hazards to your own purposes. You are blue, rubbery, and suffer no harm from extreme cold, and you have your trap skill. If you're made on Labyrinth, you ferried ultra-dense crystals through channels cleared in the ice. You get watercraft as a skill, and you have a sack of ice picks and breaker bombs. And then finally, if you were broken here on Labyrinth, you were cast into the maze by Martha Shark, but found your way out. You have a skill of pathfinding, and you have vision pills. Super enhanced vision lasts 1 hour, mild hallucination afterwards. So there you go. And that is what we have so far. Oh, I see. Anvil. Okay. Is the gate. Okay. So we get a sense of kind of what we're going to get from the systems and planets. Very cool. I'm really interested to see how this works out. I'm curious as to, like I said, I get the sense that, well, I guess what I'm curious is like where your adventure's mostly going to be. And it feels like maybe planets, but I don't know, right? I guess what I'm really curious is how much of the game is the stuff you're doing on ship, your duties, and kind of adventures that could come from that, and adventures you're doing on these planets when you're going to visiting are, and doing that part of it, and kind of what you're doing. There's the games that kind of want to go one way or another, or do everything like Traveler. I guess most space games seem like want to do everything, right? They want to kind of give you the full experience. Like Traveler, you can kind of be whatever, do whatever. You want to be crew, you want to be a captain, you want to have a small ship, you want to be whatever. Mythic Bastionland, I think one of the things that I appreciated about is that it sort of narrows your focus a bit. And this one has a similar thing where it seems like your focus is, hey, the ship, the crew, kind of thing, right? What is it again? Where is it? Where is it? Keep the ship sailing, protect the crew, do your duty. So that seems to indicate that maybe most of the adventure is going to be the ship stuff. But then, I don't know, then there's also the shore leave stuff, which seems really intriguing. Maybe it's going to be both. Maybe there's going to be a whole bunch of, hey, this is stuff you're doing as part of the ship, and this is stuff you're doing as part of your own kind of unit. You know, you are part of a table, so you guys are all working together. I don't know. But I like where it's headed. I like that the stuff it's building off of Mythic Bastionland. I guess we'll just have to wait and see for more. I will definitely check out Chris's video, and I will try to link to it somewhere so other folks can check it out. You can, and I forget. I think this is this is obviously a public playtest. I didn't get anything on the side, so I think there's a public post. Maybe it's on Patreon for it. I'll try to find the link that I got, and I will post it. But thanks for hanging out with me while I read through this. Let me know what you guys think of this stuff. And I guess just as I'll do a separate thing. So I want to talk a minute about stuff going on with Discord, which may or may not affect you, or you may or may not care. But I'll do that separately. I won't stick anything into this. So just folks, let me know what you think about this. Other than that, have a great rest of your day, night, whenever you end up watching or listening to this. Game on, and I'll talk to you later. Bye now.